Hi, I'm Stephanie Moore with UnityPoint Health, and I'm joined with our popular guest, Dr. Andrew Nish. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Looking forward to it.
So we're going to talk about something that we haven't talked about before, and that's the mind and body connection. I know you're pretty passionate about it. First, how would you describe the mind-body connection to someone who's maybe never even heard of this?
Yeah, so in Western medicine, we tend to separate the body from the brain. And that's a big mistake because they are completely interconnected. And they're interconnected. What we think influences our physical health, and our physical health influences what we think. So they're complete interconnection.
That goes into my next question. How important is making sure your mind is as healthy as your body?
More important. It's really a mindset that dictates your health and well-being. So let's say you think because of family history you're going to have a heart attack. You know what? You probably will. But if you think and believe that, you know what? I can change my lifestyle, I can change what I do, and I'm not going to end up with a heart attack like Uncle John or my dad. Guess what? You may not.
I think you were telling me a really interesting statistic that about 80% of illnesses are environmental. You know, there's only that small portion that maybe would be passed down from a family member.
Yeah, and when we say environmental, that means, you know, what we do with our bodies. So how we exercise, how we meditate, how we manage stress, how we eat, toxicants in our environment. But yeah, when you look at genetic transmission of diseases, less than 2% of diseases are a direct mutated gene that's passed on generation to generation. So think cystic fibrosis, think sickle cell disease. Most diseases have a profound environmental influence. And yes, we may have small genetic changes that predispose us to a disease, but that does not mean we're going to get that disease.
So let's say my family history is heart disease all the way till I can remember. What are things that person or that patient can do to start to shift that way of thinking and change maybe their healthy outcome?
Yeah, it does become a mindset because it's really easy to get into the mindset of, oh, I got this terrible family history. I know I'm going to get it. Well, you probably are, like we said before. But if you can really shift that mindset and say, I'm going to do everything in my power and in my life to avoid that, you have a great chance of avoiding it.
What are some things we can do to ensure that our mind is continuing to grow and to be healthy?
Yeah, can I just go back a little bit and talk a little bit about how our mind is programmed, because I think it's really important to understand. So we have two parts to our brain, our mind, our thinking. We have the conscious thinking and the subconscious. So the subconscious is what's going on underneath our direct realization. Well, guess what? About 95% of our behavior is shaped by our subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind is programmed mostly by interactions we have in the first 7 years of life. So when we look at how we think, the subconscious mind is the reactive mind. That's the stimulus response mind. That's how we react to any given situation. And that was programmed when we were kids. So I'm just going to use an example. When I was a little kid, if I spilled milk or something, my mom got really, really angry. And I got spanked. Well, fast forward to when I have kids. They spill milk. Guess what? Dad gets really angry. That was pre-programmed into my subconscious behavior. So my kids would spill milk. I wouldn't even think about it, and I'd be mad at them. That's ridiculous. So how did I change that? Well, it's not as simple as saying, I'm not going to do that. I learned to meditate, and I meditated on it and said, don't need to do that, don't need to do that. So I was able to reprogram that subconscious. So it really takes, if we want to reprogram how we think about life, how we think about health, how we think about disease, how we think about relationships, we have to really go back and reprogram our subconscious. And that means going back to our childhood, and that means going back maybe even multiple generations to figure out why we behave the way we do.
That's really interesting. So for maybe parents watching this that have the young kiddos under 7, there's things that you can start to do now. Like you gave the example, if your baby's chubby, which a lot of babies are, you shouldn't say, oh, you're so chubby. You're so, all babies are beautiful. We need to not start that imaging and body image issues at a young age.
Yeah, we put a judgment on almost everything we do, and we have to just be non-judgmental. And babies, I look at babies as these little things that we have the opportunity to program for future development. So it's like I bought a new Macintosh computer and I'm going to program it. So you're right. Babies pick up on literally everything in their environment. Yes, they can't communicate, but they know what's happening. So if you say, oh, you're so cute and fat, that baby is now being pre-programmed to think it's fat. I am fat. No, that baby is not fat. That baby is this beautiful little creature that we just want to love and nurture and not make judgments on.
So what are some tips that you would give new parents or parents that maybe are expecting?
Oh my gosh. So the perinatal and prenatal environment is so important for childhood development. For moms, you want to eat really well. That means eating organic if possible. That means eating the freshest foods and vegetables and avoiding processed foods and sugars. It also means managing your stress, because when mothers are under stress, babies are under stress. When babies are under stress, we know that the future risk of chronic disease is higher than babies who are not under stress. So that means if a mother is under stress, whether it be relational stress, emotional stress, work stress, societal stress, because of living situations, that baby will be predisposed to chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Yeah, it's incredible.
And always speak positively to your little ones.
We live in this world of negativity. You watch the news, it's all negative. And so we should really think that every moment of every day is sort of a new beginning and something positive, and explore like a kid. Just think of little kids. They run around and everything's new, isn't it? Oh, isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? And what do? We take that away from them because we say, oh, you need to settle down, or oh, you shouldn't do that. Because we're always saying, what do we say to our kids? Don't do this. Don't do that. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And now we've pre-programmed them with this fear of expressing themselves. And it really, really is detrimental. We should all be like little kids. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, sign me up. That'd be awesome.
New. Everything is worth exploring. And everything is just like, wow, this is so great.
So let's shift it to now we're an adult, we need to reprogram ourselves. What are some things, maybe meditating, some things that you can do to maybe shift those behaviors, like you were saying, punishing your children for spilling milk?
Yeah. You have to really dig. This is really, really hard work, because a lot of us have layer upon layer upon layer of childhood pre-programming. You're not good enough. You're not fast enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. That's always don't. And so we have to really work at that. And you can use, I think meditation is a great way to really reprogram our subconscious. For those who are really struggling, there is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a psychotherapy type of thing. And there's professionals that do that. And it really is not about just rehashing everything. It's really about, okay, how did we get there? And what are we going to do to change that pattern of behavior? So.
Not overnight, though.
No, this is a lifelong process. I started meditating several years ago. Meditation is a lifelong process. You look at Buddhist meditators, the professionals, they've meditated anywhere from 12 to 60,000 hours in their lifetime, and they still aren't complete masters. Yeah. So it's lifetime behavior.
That's interesting. So to wrap this up, I wrote this quote down. You have the ability to change and control your own destiny. Would you say that really ties into the mind-body connection, that you need to take the initiative and you need to do it for yourself?
Absolutely. We are constrained by our beliefs. And if our beliefs are, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, then you're living in sort of what I call a linguistic prison. Break out of the prison. because we control our destiny. Whatever you believe, you can achieve.
Great way to end. Anything else you'd add?
No, this was a great session, and I just want people to realize the power they have within themselves to be whole, healthy, and well. It's all in you.
Great advice. Thank you, Dr. Nish.